Today we uncover the shocking truth about the survival foods sold in UK supermarkets. Walk into any Tesco, Sainsbury's or Asda right now and you'll see the same thing every week. Trolleys full of bread, milk, eggs and fresh veg that'll be mouldy by Wednesday. But quietly, hidden among those same aisles are some of the most powerful survival foods money can buy. Foods designed to last, to store, and to survive. Unassuming and cost next to nothing. Foods that can sit untouched for years, even decades, while everything else in your home quietly goes off. Now, before you think this is about bunkers and apocalypse fantasies, let me be clear. We're not here to spread fear. It's actually the opposite. We're doing this to show you just how easy it is to have a decent set of survival foods, way simpler than you think, that can keep up with the very best of preppers out there. And we're not suggesting you need every item on this list. Just choosing 10 which you haven't got yet makes a huge difference. And even if you don't feel like prepping at all, it's still invaluable knowledge to know exactly which products in your home and in supermarkets are actually perfect for those survival situations. In fact, you may already have some of the survival foods on this list, because at the end of the day, they're just regular, unassuming items of food. But if the worst-case scenario ever does hit, they transform into invaluable lifesavers. So what we'll do is just look at them with a bit more respect, even during the good times. Because it's not about making dramatic changes to impress anyone. It's about being carefully prepared and equipped with the knowledge to see things with a different lens, before a time may come where everyone is forced to do so, whether they want to or not. And it's not just about the hunger. It's about the psychological piece of knowing that you won't be desperate if worse comes to worst. Quiet, regular food products that save your family's morale and make it look easy. So today we're revealing the 50 foods you can buy right now in any UK supermarket that'll outlast every crisis. And here's what'll shock you. Most cost less than a weekly takeaway, but could sustain you for months when panic buying sends your neighbours into a flurry. But before we get into the list, I need your help spreading this information. If you find this valuable, smash that like button and especially hit the hype button. You're not just helping the algorithm. You're helping spread awareness that could genuinely help families be prepared if the next crisis hits. Think about it. The more families who know about these foods before panic buying starts, the less chaos there'll be in the aisles. You're literally helping create a better informed community that won't be scrambling when supply chains wobble again. That's not just clicking a button, that's being part of something bigger. And if you're not already subscribed, do that now, because I'm going to keep making videos like this, uncovering the truth about what's really in our food supply and how to navigate it smartly. And let's get into it. Number 1. Couscous. This sits in the world foods aisle, completely ignored by 99% of shoppers, and it's genuinely one of the smartest survival foods you can buy. Here's why. Couscous only needs hot water, not boiling water, not a stove, just hot water and 5 minutes. You pour hot water over it, cover it, wait 5 minutes, and it's ready to eat. That's the survival cheat code right there. When everyone else is trying to cook rice on camping stoves or struggling with fuel shortages, you'll be making meals with barely any effort. A single kilogram bag costs about £1.50 in most supermarkets and contains roughly 3,600 calories. That's nearly 2 days of energy for the average adult, stored in something smaller than a bag of sugar. For storage, you'll want to freeze it for 24 to 48 hours first. This eliminates any potential insect eggs that might be in the grain. Then transfer it to an airtight container or mylar bag with oxygen absorbers, and it'll last 20 to 30 years easily. Keep it in a cool, dry, dark place, and it's basically edible insurance. What makes couscous especially clever is how it pairs with everything. Tinned vegetables, tinned fish, stock cubes, whatever you've got. It absorbs flavors beautifully and turns basic ingredients into something that feels like an actual meal. It's not theoretical survival food. It's proven, field-tested survival food sitting on your supermarket shelf. Number 2. Red split lentils. These are hiding in the dried goods section or the world foods aisle, usually in plain plastic bags that nobody gives a second glance. But here's what'll shock you. Red lentils cook in 10 to 20 minutes with no soaking needed. contain 18 grams of protein per 100 grams, and can be stored for 25 to 30 years in proper conditions. Let me put that in perspective. While people are buying expensive protein powders that cost 20 quid for a small tub, red lentils are sitting there offering the same nutrition for about 50 pence a bag. One of humanity's oldest cultivated foods, archaeological evidence shows lentils being grown 13,000 years ago. They sustained ancient civilizations, fed medieval armies, and got British families through rationing during World War II. The reason they work so well is simple. They're packed with protein, fiber, iron, and they cook quickly without fuss. No complicated preparation. Just rinse them, boil them in water for 15 minutes, and you've got protein-rich food that can be eaten as is, added to soups, turned into dal, or used as a thickener for stews. For storage, same protocol as couscous. Freeze for a few days to eliminate any insect eggs, then transfer to mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, or just keep them in airtight containers in a cool, dark cupboard. They're remarkably forgiving. Even in their original packaging stored properly, they'll last years. Cheap, nutritious, long-lasting protein that requires minimal fuel and almost no skill to prepare. Number 3. Marmite. Love it or hate it, in a survival situation, Marmite becomes medicine. That little jar for £3.50 sitting next to the peanut butter is a vitamin supplement that never expires. Let me explain why this matters. During extended emergencies, when your survival foods become limited and repetitive, vitamin deficiencies become genuine health risks. Scurvy from lack of vitamin C, beriberi from lack of thiamine, pellagra from lack of niacin. These aren't just Victorian complications from history textbooks. They're real risks during prolonged survival situations when fresh food isn't available. Marmite was invented in 1902 and became a British military ration during World War I and World War II. Soldiers carried it specifically to prevent vitamin deficiencies during extended deployments. It's packed with B vitamins, particularly B12, which is crucial for vegans and vegetarians who might struggle to get it from other survival foods. The salt content is incredibly high, which normally we'd avoid, but in survival situations that salt helps replace electrolytes lost through sweating and physical exertion. Here's the critical part. Marmite is so concentrated that a single teaspoon provides significant portions of your daily B vitamin needs. When you're eating nothing but rice, beans, and pasta for weeks, you're getting calories but missing crucial vitamins. Spread a tiny amount on plain rice crackers or mix it into rice dishes, and you're preventing serious deficiency issues that genuinely harmed people throughout history. Storage is dead simple. Keep the jar sealed and it'll last indefinitely. The high salt content acts as a natural preservative. Even after opening, stored in a cool cupboard, it remains stable for years. Love it or hate it, but for £3.50, this jar becomes a multi-year supply of essential vitamins that could prevent genuine health decline. Number 4. Ghee. This is clarified butter, and it's hiding in the world foods aisle that most British shoppers walk straight past. Here's why it matters. Ghee is shelf-stable fat that doesn't require refrigeration, and in survival situations, fats become incredibly valuable. Most stockpiles are heavy on carbohydrates like rice, pasta, beans, oats, but dangerously light on fats. Fats are essential for sustained energy, body warmth in cold conditions, feeling actually full rather than just temporarily satisfied, mental clarity and stress resilience, and absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. Without adequate fats, your body starts struggling even if you're eating enough calories. Ghee solves this problem. It's basically butter with the water and milk solids removed, which makes it far more stable than regular butter. In normal butter, those milk solids and water content cause it to go rancid relatively quickly, especially without refrigeration. Ghee doesn't have that problem. It can sit in your cupboard for months, even years, in cool conditions. Without going off, a simple survival comfort meal is hot rice plus salt plus a spoonful of ghee. That's it. It tastes like actual comfort food, not punishment rations. The ghee adds richness, calories, and that satisfying mouthfeel that keeps you from feeling deprived. It also works brilliantly for cooking. Frying foods, making pan breads, cooking potatoes, scrambling eggs if you've got them. It's versatile in ways that most survival fats aren't. Storage is straightforward. Keep it sealed in its original container in a cool, dark cupboard, away from heat sources. Once opened, it'll still last months at room temperature, far longer than butter. Number 5. Pearl barley. This is old British famine food that nobody notices anymore. It sits in the dried goods section, usually in small bags near the lentils and pulses, and most people have no idea what to do with it. But our ancestors knew exactly what pearl barley was for: stretching meals and surviving lean times. During the Irish famine and throughout British history, barley was the grain that kept people going when wheat was scarce or unaffordable. It's incredibly hardy, grows in poor conditions, and stores brilliantly. Pearl barley has had the outer hull removed, which makes it cook faster than whole barley, and it has this wonderful ability to absorb flavors and thicken stews. That's why it's perfect for survival cooking. You can throw it into soups, stews, or casseroles, and it'll bulk them out, making a small amount of ingredients feed more people. A 50-gram serving provides about 120 calories, but more importantly, it adds substance and texture to meals. When you're eating the same basic ingredients day after day, pearl barley changes the texture and mouthfeel enough that meals don't feel repetitive. Storage-wise, pearl barley lasts 20 to 30 years in proper conditions. Freeze it for a couple of days first, then store in airtight containers or mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Even in its original packaging, kept cool and dry, it'll last years without issue. Pearl barley transforms basic broths and stews into something more substantial, and that matters enormously when you're trying to keep morale up during difficult times. Number 6. White rice. The food that built empires, and for good reason. Properly stored white rice can last 30 years. Let me say that again. In mylar bags with oxygen absorbers kept in cool, dry, dark conditions, white rice maintains its nutritional value and flavor for 3 decades. That's longer than most people's mortgages. A 10-kilo bag costs £15 to £20 in most supermarkets and contains roughly 13,000 calories. The average person needs about 2,000 calories per day, so one 10-kilogram bag equals 6 to 7 days of survival food. For £100, you can store 50 kilograms, which is 65,000 calories, roughly 1 month of food for one person. That's edible insurance with a 30-year warranty. Here's the critical difference. White rice stores far better than brown rice. Brown rice has the outer bran layer intact, which contains oils. Those oils go rancid within 1 to 2 years, even in good storage. White rice has had that layer removed, so there are no oils to go rancid. It's just pure starch, and starch is incredibly stable. The ancient Chinese knew this. Archaeologists have found perfectly preserved white rice in tombs dating back to the Ming dynasty, and it was still technically edible. Rice sustained Asian armies for millennia. British colonial forces relied on it, and it was a staple during World War II rationing. Those unassuming bags of rice sitting next to the pasta are basically the same food that sustained entire civilizations. Number 7. Pasta. Dried pasta is made from durum wheat, which is a hard variety with high protein content. That high protein content is what makes pasta less susceptible to spoilage and degradation over time. The low moisture content in dried pasta prevents bacterial and mold growth, which is why it lasts so long. In proper storage, pasta can last 20 to 30 years. In the packaging it comes in from the shop, you're looking at a couple of years, but if you store it properly in airtight containers, 5-gallon buckets inside mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, and keep it in a cool, dry place, it'll last decades. It's filling, familiar, and most importantly, it feels like a normal meal, even when nothing else is normal. That matters more than people realize. When stress is high and circumstances are difficult, having food that resembles regular meals helps maintain psychological stability. In 2023, Italian researchers found a sealed package of spaghetti from 1944 that was still perfectly edible. That's pasta from World War II. The science behind this is fascinating. When pasta is dried below 12% moisture content and kept away from oxygen, it creates a time capsule effect. Nothing can grow, nothing can degrade, it just sits there, stable for years. For storage, same as everything else. Freeze for 24 to 48 hours first. This is crucial. One viewer tested this by buying 2 small bags of pasta, freezing one for 48 hours and leaving the other at room temperature. After 3 to 4 months stored in sealed bags, the frozen bag had no issues. The unfrozen bag was full of insects. That's proof freezing works. After freezing, let it return to room temperature to prevent condensation, then store in airtight containers or mylar bags. Number 8. Porridge oats. Here's something most people don't know. Oats don't need to be cooked. You can eat them cold. Just add water and wait 15 to 30 minutes. The oats slowly soften and become perfectly edible with zero fuel needed. This technique is called cold soaking or overnight oats, and it's commonly used by hikers and long-distance campers who don't always have access to cooking equipment. That alone makes oats brilliant for survival situations. But there's more. Stored properly, oats can last 30 years. In original packaging, you're looking at 18 to 24 months. But transfer them to proper storage and they become a 3-decade food supply. A 1 kilo bag costs £1.50 to £2 and contains roughly 3,800 calories. That's exceptional value. The reason oats are so useful goes beyond just calories. They provide sustained energy. Unlike foods high in sugar that create a quick spike and crash, oats contain complex carbohydrates and fiber. Your body absorbs the energy slowly, which means you stay full and energized for longer periods. This is critical when you're trying to function for hours without access to regular meals. Viking sailors and Norse explorers survived on oats during long voyages because they're lightweight, energy-dense, and incredibly versatile. You can eat them as porridge, use them as flour for baking, add them to stews as a thickener, or make energy bars by mixing them with honey and dried fruit. Storage requires the same freeze-first protocol. Add a couple of bay leaves if you want extra protection. Bay leaves naturally repel insects and add a subtle flavor that most people find pleasant. Keep the containers in a cool, dry, dark place, and you've got breakfast, thickener, flour, and energy bars sorted for decades. Number 9. Baked beans. The most British survival food there is. Ready to eat cold if necessary, providing protein plus carbs plus sauce in one tin with a 2 to 5 year shelf life and serving as psychological comfort food that reminds you life isn't completely awful. Let me explain that last part. When everything around you is stressful and uncertain, having food that tastes familiar and comforting genuinely matters. Baked beans represent normality. They represent beans on toast, Saturday breakfast, simple pleasures. That psychological anchor is valuable in ways that pure nutrition can't capture. During World War II, baked beans were a staple precisely because they provided complete nutrition in a format that required no preparation. You could eat them straight from the tin if needed. Nowadays, we take that for granted, but in survival terms, it's remarkable. Most proteins require cooking. Most carbohydrates require cooking. Baked beans give you both, ready to go. A standard 400-gram tin provides roughly 300 calories, 12 grams of protein, and a decent amount of fiber. It's not optimized nutrition, but it's balanced enough to sustain you. The beans themselves provide protein and complex carbs. The tomato sauce provides some vitamins and makes the whole thing actually pleasant to eat. For storage, keep the tins in a cool, dry place away from direct heat and sunlight. Avoid dented, bulging, or rusty tins. Those are signs the seal might be compromised. Check best before dates, but understand that's a quality marker, not a safety marker. Tinned beans can last well beyond the printed date if the tin remains intact. Number 10. Tinned tomatoes. The base of everything. Tinned tomatoes turn basic ingredients into actual meals. Rice and tinned tomatoes becomes tomato rice. Pasta and tinned tomatoes becomes pasta sauce. Beans and tinned tomatoes becomes a stew. Stock cubes and tinned tomatoes becomes soup. You get the idea. This is the ingredient that makes your stockpile work. A single tin costs 40 to 60 pence, depending where you shop, and it'll last 2 to 5 years easily. Some tins last longer, but tomatoes are acidic, And acid can gradually degrade the tin lining over time, especially if stored in warm conditions. That's why tinned tomatoes have a slightly shorter storage life than beans or tuna. But here's the thing. You'll use them constantly anyway. Tinned tomatoes aren't the food you store for 20 years and hope you never need. They're the food you rotate through your normal cooking, always keeping a decent stock on hand. Buy 12 tins. Use the oldest ones in your regular meals, replace them with new tins. Keep the cycle going, first in, first out. The reason tomatoes appear on every survival food list isn't complicated. They add flavor to otherwise bland meals. When you're eating rice and beans for the third day in a row, adding tinned tomatoes makes it feel like a different meal. The acidity brightens everything. The umami from the tomatoes adds depth. Suddenly, your survival rations feel less like punishment and more like food. During World War II rationing, tinned tomatoes were one of the items British families relied on heavily because they could stretch other ingredients and make basic meals more palatable. That knowledge hasn't changed. The food technology hasn't changed. What's changed is that most people have forgotten why tinned tomatoes matter. Number 11. Salt. Roman soldiers were paid in salt. The word salary comes from salt. Wars were fought over salt. This wasn't superstition or tradition. Salt was genuinely that valuable because without it, civilizations couldn't preserve food, couldn't maintain health, couldn't survive. Fast forward to today, and salt costs about 50 pence for a large container at any supermarket. But its value hasn't actually changed. Your body requires salt to function. Without adequate sodium, your nervous system literally can't operate properly. Beyond bodily function, salt is nature's oldest preservative. Before refrigeration, our ancestors used salt to keep meat fresh for months. They packed fish in salt, they cured hams with salt. All of that knowledge is still valid. If you need to preserve food and refrigeration isn't available, salt is your primary tool. For storage, salt doesn't expire, ever. As long as you keep it dry, salt remains salt. One storage hack that works brilliantly is adding a few grains of uncooked rice to your salt container. The rice absorbs any moisture, preventing the salt from clumping. It's an old British kitchen trick that genuinely works. Number 12. Sugar. White sugar creates a hostile environment for bacteria. The sugar literally pulls water out of bacterial cells, preventing them from surviving. That's why sugar has been used as a preservative throughout history and why it basically never expires. As long as you keep moisture out, sugar will outlast you. In survival terms, sugar provides quick energy. It's not the sustained energy you get from complex carbs or fats, but when you need an immediate boost, sugar delivers. Porridge with a spoonful of sugar becomes much easier to eat. Tea with sugar becomes a morale boost. Baking requires sugar. It's not just about calories, it's about making survival food feel less miserable. For storage, keep sugar in airtight containers. Don't use oxygen absorbers with sugar, they'll turn it into a rock-hard brick. Just keep it sealed and dry. If it does clump from moisture exposure, you can break it up. It's still perfectly safe to use. Number 13. Instant coffee. 100 cups per jar, 30-year shelf life when stored properly, costing about 10 pence per cup. That's inflation-proof coffee in a sealed container. Scientists have tested 30-year-old sealed instant coffee against fresh samples, and they were practically identical. That's not marketing. That's actual shelf stability. Each jar is basically a goldmine of caffeine insurance. Beyond the caffeine, instant coffee has other uses. Mix it with honey and spices, and you've got an incredible meat rub that can transform even bland emergency food. Sprinkle it around your garden, and insects won't come near. Seriously, one jar is like having 3 tools in your survival kit. But the main reason it's here is morale. Coffee is a ritual. It's a morning routine. It's normalcy. When everything else is chaotic and uncertain, making coffee the same way you always have reminds you that you're still you. The situation might be difficult, but you're still having your morning coffee. That continuity matters psychologically. For people who depend on caffeine, withdrawal during a crisis is genuinely problematic. Headaches, fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, those symptoms don't help when you need to be alert and functional. Having instant coffee stored means you avoid that entirely. Number 14. Instant mashed potato. This doesn't feel preppy, but it's genius. Instant mash is light, compact, needs very little fuel, and provides filling comfort food with minimal effort. Just add hot water and a bit of salt, and you've got a calorie-dense side dish. If you've ever tried to boil whole potatoes on a tiny camping stove, you'll understand why this matters. Regular potatoes take 20+ minutes of fuel. Instant mash takes 2 minutes and a kettle. A 1 kilogram bag costs about £1.50 and contains roughly 3,800 calories. That's exceptional value for something that requires almost no preparation. In sealed bags or containers, instant mash lasts years, easily a decade or more. The dehydration process removes the moisture that causes spoilage, leaving just potato flakes that rehydrate when you add water. Beyond being a side dish, instant mash works as a soup thickener. Thin, watery soup doesn't satisfy anyone. Add a couple of tablespoons of instant mash, and suddenly the soup has body and substance. Number 15. Tinned fruit. This is about morale as much as nutrition. Peaches, pineapples, mandarins, whatever you actually like. They provide natural sugars, some vitamin C, and critically, a sense that life isn't completely awful. Sweet food triggers positive psychological responses. It reminds us of better times, celebrations, treats, normalcy. In difficult circumstances, having something that tastes genuinely pleasant rather than just functional helps maintain hope. Each tin gives you fruit plus liquid, which means it's also a safe water source. When you're unsure about tap water quality or availability, that juice provides hydration. Choose fruit packed in natural juice or water rather than heavy syrup. Heavy syrup is loaded with sugar, and while that provides calories, it also makes you thirstier afterward. The high sugar concentration draws water from your system, which is counterproductive when hydration might be limited. Number 16. Potato flour. This is not potato starch. This is not instant mash. This is potato flour, and it's used for making emergency flatbreads when bread shelves are empty. Mix potato flour with water and a pinch of salt, pan fry it for 2 to 3 minutes each side, and hey presto, you've got flatbread. No yeast, no proving, no waiting. Just flour, water, heat. When bread becomes a morale issue, potato flour provides options. People can eat rice and beans, but they want something that feels normal, something to dip, wrap, fry, snack on. It's available in the baking sections of most supermarkets. It's not a huge seller, and it's so often overlooked. Number 17. Gravy granules. This might be the most powerful item on the list that nobody thinks about. Gravy granules turn rice and beans into actual meals. That's not exaggeration. Bland food becomes soul-destroying during long-term situations. Stock cubes help, but gravy granules specifically make dry foods palatable. Rice plus gravy, instant mash plus gravy equals familiar meal. Tinned meat plus gravy equals something you'd choose to eat rather than force down. This is flavor insurance. You're not just prepping calories, you're prepping the ability to actually eat those calories without hating every meal. When people are stressed, tired, cold and bored of the same food, that's when arguments start. That's when bad decisions happen. That's when people stop eating properly even though food is available. Gravy granules prevent that. A tub costs £1 to £2 and lasts years when kept dry and sealed. You just need hot water. Add the granules, stir, and you've got gravy. Pour it over whatever you're eating, and suddenly the meal feels edible. During the next crisis, when everyone else is struggling to choke down bland survival rations, you'll be making meals that feel almost normal. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between maintaining morale and slowly declining into food fatigue where you stop caring about eating properly. Number 18. Stock cubes. You're not prepping food here, you're prepping the ability to eat the food you already have. That's the critical distinction most people miss. Stock cubes, whether they're OXO, bouillon, chicken, beef, vegetable, or miso cubes, transform survival staples from edible to acceptable. In an emergency, your main staples are usually bland. Rice, lentils, beans, oats, pasta. Nutritionally sound, calorically adequate, psychologically unbearable after a few days. Bland food destroys appetite and mood. People start skipping meals without noticing because eating just isn't worth the effort. A stock cube changes that. Crumble one into rice while it cooks, and you've got flavored rice instead of plain starch. Add one to lentils, and you've basically got soup base. Dissolve one in hot water, and you've got a quick salty broth when you're cold. Don't keep stock cubes in their original cardboard boxes. Cupboards get damp, and damp will ruin stock cubes. Transfer them to an airtight jar or container. Number 19. Tea. Nothing like a sweet cup of tea with a bit of sugar and powdered milk for a nice warm morale booster. That's not just me being poetic. Tea is a psychological anchor. A hot cuppa on a cold, dark evening when the lights are out does more for your mental health than half the gear people obsess over. This isn't about caffeine, though that helps. This is about ritual, comfort, and maintaining a sense of normalcy when everything else is chaotic. Making tea the same way you always have reminds you that you're still you. The situation might be difficult, but you're still having your tea. British culture is built around tea for a reason. It's a pause, a moment to breathe, a connection to routine and stability. During the Blitz in World War II, the government considered tea so important for morale that they stockpiled it and ensured distribution continued even during the worst bombing. They understood that tea wasn't luxury. It was psychological survival. Dried tea leaves, stored properly in airtight containers away from moisture and light, last years. They gradually lose some flavor over time, but they remain safe and usable. A sealed box of tea bags in a cool, dry cupboard will outlast most fresh foods by years. Number 20. White flour. This one requires a caveat. Flour is controversial in survival circles because it can go rancid and it attracts insects if not stored properly. But stored correctly, flour remains usable for years and it unlocks baking, which is psychologically valuable. The ability to make bread, flatbreads, pancakes, or biscuits when everything else feels difficult provides a sense of accomplishment and normalcy. For storage, flour absolutely must be frozen first. Freeze it for at least 48 hours. This eliminates any insect eggs that are almost certainly present. Even brand new flour from the shop can contain eggs. If you don't freeze it, you'll discover this a few months later when your flour container is full of insects. After freezing, let the flour return to room temperature to prevent condensation. Then transfer it to airtight containers, mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, or just sealed buckets. Keep it in a cool, dry, dark place. Some people add bay leaves to their flour containers as extra insect deterrent. The challenge with flour is the oils in the wheat germ. Even in white flour there are trace oils, and oils go rancid over time. In cool conditions, white flour lasts 6 months to a year easily, sometimes longer. In ideal storage with oxygen absorbers and consistent cool temperatures, it can last several years. Number 21. Corn flour. This is basically pure starch, and it lasts much longer than regular flour because there are almost no oils to go rancid. Stored properly, corn flour can last years, potentially decades in ideal conditions. It's primarily used as a thickener for sauces, gravies, and stews, which makes it incredibly useful when your survival meals are too watery. Thin, watery soup doesn't feel filling. Thick, hearty soup does. Corn flour makes that transformation with just a tablespoon or two. A box costs about £1 and will last you a very long time because you use it in small amounts. Thickening a pot of soup takes 1 or 2 tablespoons. A 500-gram box contains enough to thicken dozens of meals. This isn't glamorous food. It's not something you eat on its own, but it's one of those supporting ingredients that makes everything else work better, and in survival situations, those supporting players matter just as much as the main ingredients. Number 22. Semolina. Many of us may know semolina as that pudding their grandparents made, but it's actually incredibly useful for survival cooking. Semolina is made from durum wheat, the same wheat used for pasta, which means it's naturally long-lasting and stable. You can use semolina to make porridge, puddings, thicken soups and stews, or even make quick flatbreads when you don't have regular flour or don't want to wait for bread to rise. During rationing in World War II, semolina was used extensively because it was filling, relatively nutritious, and didn't require much to make it palatable. The ability to turn semolina into multiple different dishes, from breakfast porridge to bread-like flatbreads to soup thickener, makes it more versatile than people realize. It's not exciting, it's not trendy, but it's reliable, cheap, and it just works. Number 23. Baking powder and baking soda. These aren't foods you eat on their own, but they're essential for making other foods work. Baking powder allows you to make quick breads, biscuits, pancakes, anything that needs to rise without yeast. When you don't have access to fresh yeast, or you don't want to wait for dough to prove, baking powder gives you immediate leavening. Baking soda has even more uses. It's a leavening agent when combined with acidic ingredients. It's useful for cleaning. It can be used to neutralize odors. In food terms, baking soda helps with digestion when you've got beans or lentils that are causing issues, and it can be added to cooking water to help soften dried beans faster. Storage is remarkably simple. Both baking powder and baking soda last indefinitely if kept dry. Moisture is their only enemy. Keep them in airtight containers and they'll remain effective for years. Number 24. Evaporated milk. This is a better tasting alternative to powdered milk, especially for families with children. Add water to evaporated milk, and it tastes almost exactly like fresh milk. Kids who refuse powdered milk because of the taste or texture will happily drink evaporated milk without noticing the difference. The shelf life is 1 to 2 years, which is shorter than powdered milk's 25-year potential, but the trade-off is worth it for families. A tin costs about £1.20, and you can mix it equal parts with water to create liquid milk. Evaporated milk was invented in 1856 and became a British military and emergency ration precisely because it provided milk without refrigeration. During shortages, when fresh milk wasn't available, evaporated milk sustained families. Number 25. Powdered milk. Fresh milk lasts days in the fridge. Powdered milk lasts years, potentially 25 years in ideal storage. A 1 kilogram bag costs £5 to £7 and makes roughly 10 litres of milk when reconstituted. During extended emergencies, getting calcium and vitamin D from shelf-stable foods is nearly impossible. Powdered milk solves this. Without adequate calcium and vitamin D, bone health deteriorates, muscle function weakens, children's growth is stunted, and immune system is compromised. Powdered milk provides these nutrients when dairy is unavailable. For storage, you absolutely must use non-fat powdered milk. Full-fat powdered milk has oils that go rancid. Non-fat lasts far longer. Store it in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. Keep it away from heat and moisture. Number 26. Tinned coconut milk. Without adequate fats, your body struggles even if you're eating enough calories. Tinned coconut milk solves this without requiring refrigeration. A standard tin contains about 200 calories, most of which come from healthy fats. Stir it into rice and the rice instantly feels richer and more filling. Add it to lentils and suddenly it's a proper dish instead of just mush. Use it as a quick curry base with stock cubes and spices. Add it to soup to make it more substantial and satisfying. Number 27. Hot chocolate powder. This is more about morale than anything else. When everything feels grim, when stress is high, when you're cold and tired and worried, a hot chocolate reminds you that life isn't over. That matters more than people realize. Psychological survival is real survival. If morale collapses, people stop functioning properly even when they have adequate food and resources. Hot chocolate is especially important for children. Kids don't understand supply chain issues or emergency preparedness. They just know everything feels wrong and scary. Having something familiar and comforting, like hot chocolate, helps maintain a sense of normalcy. A child who refuses to eat because everything is unfamiliar becomes a serious problem. Hot chocolate bridges that gap. It's sweet, warm, recognizable, and makes difficult circumstances feel slightly less difficult. Storage is straightforward. Keep the powder dry and sealed. It'll last years. Number 28. Honey. A 2023 study in the Journal of Food Science found that raw honey contains over 180 different compounds that help fight bacteria. That's why hospitals now use medical-grade honey for wound dressing. It's not folklore. It's legitimate antimicrobial properties. For survival food storage, honey provides quick energy. It's pure simple sugars that your body can absorb almost immediately. When you're tired, low on energy, or need a boost, a spoonful of honey delivers. It also makes other foods more palatable. Porridge with honey tastes better. Tea with honey becomes a comfort drink. Bland survival rations become slightly less miserable. Storage is dead simple. Keep honey in a sealed glass jar at room temperature. If it crystallizes, that's actually a sign of pure honey, not spoilage. Just place the jar in warm water and it'll return to liquid form. Never microwave honey to decrystallize it. That degrades some of the beneficial compounds. Warm water bath works perfectly. Number 29. Soup and broth mix. This is dried soup mix with barley, lentils, split peas, and dried vegetables, all in one bag. It's the secret all-in-one survival blend hiding on the soup aisle that most people walk straight past. You throw the mix into a pot with water, simmer it for about 20 minutes, and you've got a complete meal. No additional ingredients needed, though you can add tinned vegetables, stock cubes, or whatever else you've got to enhance it. The convenience is what makes this valuable. Instead of measuring out individual lentils, barley, and vegetables, it's all pre-mixed. Instead of trying to remember proportions, it's already balanced. You just open the bag, pour it in, add water, cook. Number 30. Dried seaweed. This is lightweight, shelf-stable, compact, and it adds micronutrients to carb-heavy diets. There are 3 main types you'll find in UK supermarkets. Nori sheets are the easiest. Mild flavor doesn't scare anyone. You just crumble a sheet into rice or noodles and it adds a subtle umami. Wakame is great in soups. Slightly stronger taste, but still quite mild. Dulse flakes are salty and can be sprinkled over potatoes or other foods like seasoning. When your diet becomes rice, pasta, beans, all carbs, you're missing micronutrients. Dried seaweed provides iodine for thyroid function, plus minerals that are difficult to get from basic survival foods. The reason this appears on the list is because it's one of those quiet foods people ignore. Number 31. Quality instant noodle blocks. This is about morale, not perfect nutrition. Warm, salty, feels like a meal, not a punishment. Don't buy the absolute bottom-tier noodles that you hate. Buy the ones you'd actually eat. Go to Asian supermarkets or even a decent world food section and grab flavors you like. Have a mix. Something mild, something spicy, something comforting. The psychological factor is what matters here. You can have 10,000 calories of staples and still feel miserable. A hot bowl of noodles changes your mood fast. It's warm, it's salty, it's familiar. Number 32. Bulgur wheat. This is ancient staple that cooks in about 5 minutes. It's made from whole wheat kernels that have been parboiled, dried and cracked, which is why it cooks so quickly. The parboiling process means it's partially cooked already. You just need to rehydrate it. For survival cooking, that speed matters. Less fuel, less time, less effort. A 200-gram serving of bulgur wheat provides about 340 calories plus fiber, protein, and minerals. It's more nutritious than white rice because it's made from whole wheat, but it still lasts years in proper storage. Stored in airtight containers in cool, dry conditions, bulgur wheat lasts 2 to 3 years easily, sometimes longer. Number 33. Tinned sardines. 95 pence for complete nutrition that restaurants charge £12 for. Let me explain that value proposition. A tin of sardines provides protein, healthy fats including omega-3s, calcium from the edible bones, vitamin D, and various minerals. It's nutritionally dense in ways that most foods aren't. The omega-3 content in sardines is particularly valuable during survival situations. Omega-3s support brain function, reduce inflammation, and help maintain mental clarity under stress. Sardines also have much lower mercury levels than larger fish like tuna. If the situation cools, ready to eat straight from the tin. No cooking, no preparation. Number 34. Tinned tuna. The classic for a reason, versatile protein that works with virtually anything. A standard tin provides about 20 to 25 grams of protein with minimal fat. For people trying to maintain muscle mass during difficult times, when food might be limited, that protein density matters, and can be eaten straight from the tin. The mild flavor means most people find it acceptable even if they're not normally fish eaters. The mercury consideration is real with tuna. Choose light tuna over albacore when possible. Light tuna has lower mercury levels. Number 35. Tinned mackerel. Similar benefits to sardines but with slightly different flavor. Mackerel provides excellent omega-3s, protein and vitamin D. It's oily fish, which means it's calorie-dense and satisfying in ways that leaner fish aren't. A 100-gram tin typically provides around 200 calories, most from healthy fats. Those fats are what make you feel actually full rather than just temporarily satisfied. If you find tuna too bland, mackerel adds more character. Having variety in your tinned fish selection prevents flavor fatigue. Number 36. Spam and corned beef. These get dismissed as gross survival food, but viewers who've actually tested them tell a different story. 15-year-old spam, still perfect. Corned beef kept for 10 years, good as the day it was tinned. One viewer dropped a can of spam behind pantry shelving, where it lay for about 15 years. The can wasn't ruptured, rusty, or bloated. After opening, it looked and smelled fine. These aren't theoretical storage times. These are real-world results from people who actually did it. The reason spam and corned beef last so long is the canning process. High heat processing eliminates bacteria. Airtight seal prevents new contamination. High salt content inhibits any remaining microorganisms. During World War II, spam became synonymous with military rations and British survival food. The name became a bit of a joke, but the functionality is still serious. It provides shelf-stable protein when fresh meat is unavailable. Number 37. Tinned chicken. This is the easiest tinned meat to build meals around. It's versatile in ways that spam and corned beef aren't. The flavor is mild, the texture is familiar, and it works in virtually any application. Tinned chicken goes into soups, rice dishes, pasta sandwiches, wraps, stir-fries if you've got vegetables, or eaten as is. The lack of strong flavor means you can season it however you want. Stock cubes, gravy granules, curry powder, whatever you've got. Number 38. Peanut butter. 2 tablespoons provide nearly 200 calories. A standard jar contains more than 2,000 calories, almost equal to what an adult needs for an entire day. That's emergency fuel in a jar. The reason peanut butter appears on every survival food list is its calorie density combined with fat, protein, and reasonable shelf life. Unopened, a jar lasts 1 to 2 years easily. After opening, stored in a cool cupboard, it remains good for 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer. The key is temperature. Heat causes the oil to separate and speeds degradation. Keep peanut butter in a cool, dark cupboard, not above the stove or near heat sources. Beyond calories, there's a psychological factor. In highly stressful situations like prolonged power outages, the body releases adrenaline and reduces appetite. Peanut butter is soft, easy to eat, and doesn't require chewing much. Even when you're not truly hungry, a few spoonfuls can get necessary calories into your body. Number 39. Dried chickpeas. 1 bag becomes multiple tins worth when soaked. That expansion factor is the value proposition. A 500-gram bag of dried chickpeas costs about £1.50 and expands to roughly 1 kilogram after soaking. Compare that to buying tinned chickpeas at £1 per 400-gram tin. You're getting far more food for less money. Storage-wise, dried chickpeas last 20 to 30 years in proper conditions. Freeze them first for a few days, then transfer to mylar bags with oxygen absorbers or airtight containers. They'll sit there stable for decades. The preparation does require effort. You must soak them overnight, at least 8 hours. then boil them until soft. That's not instant food. That's planned food that requires forethought and fuel, but the payoff is worth it. Number 40. Tinned lentils. This is the ready-to-eat version of dried lentils. No soaking, no long cooking, just open, rinse, eat. When the power's out and you can't cook dried lentils properly, tinned lentils provide the same nutrition with zero effort. Slightly higher protein than most tinned beans. Softer texture that's easier to eat when you're tired, 2 to 5 year shelf life, combine with rice for complete protein meal without adding meat. The convenience is what matters. Dried lentils are incredible for long-term storage, but tinned lentils solve the immediate problem of what to eat when cooking isn't possible or practical. Number 41. Dried kidney beans. Dense calories and protein with 25 to 30 year storage potential. Perfect for chili, stews, rice bowls, or any application where you need substantial protein. The critical warning is preparation. Kidney beans contain a natural toxin when raw or undercooked. You must soak them overnight, drain that water, then boil them rapidly for at least 10 minutes before reducing to a simmer. That initial rapid boil eliminates the toxin. Without it, you can get seriously ill. This isn't a lazy survival food, it's a food that demands respect and proper cooking. The cooking time is significant. After soaking, kidney beans need about an hour of simmering to become fully soft. In fuel-limited situations, that's a consideration. Number 42. Dried black beans. Similar to kidney beans but with slightly different flavor profile. Perfect for Mexican-style meals, rice and beans, soups, or any application where you want dark, earthy bean flavor. Storage is identical. Freeze first, then mylar or airtight containers. 25 to 30 years easily. Preparation requires soaking overnight and thorough boiling. Just like kidney beans, the protein and fiber content is comparable to kidney beans, roughly 15 grams protein and 15 grams fiber per cooked cup. Black beans also create complete protein when combined with rice. The visual difference between kidney beans and black beans provides variety that matters psychologically. When you're eating similar foods repeatedly, small changes in appearance and flavor prevent monotony. Number 43. Green and brown lentils. These are different from red split lentils because they hold their shape when cooked. Red lentils break down into mush, which is perfect for dal and soups. Green and brown lentils maintain structure, which makes them better for stews, salads, and mixed dishes where you want distinct texture. The meaty texture when cooked makes them more substantial feeling than red lentils. Some people find them more satisfying because of that. Storage is the same 25 to 30 year potential in proper conditions. Number 44. Tinned chickpeas. Ready to eat chickpeas when you don't have time or fuel to soak and cook dried ones. Open, rinse, use. That simplicity matters in situations where every decision requires energy you might not have. A power outage doesn't mean you're suddenly energized and ready to plan complex meals. Often the opposite. You're stressed, tired, and you just need food that works, without thinking about it. Tinned chickpeas provide that. Storage is 2 to 5 years typically. Rinse before use to reduce sodium, add to salads, stews, curries, roast them for crunchy snacks, or mash them for quick hummus if you've got tahini and lemon. Number 45. Tinned kidney beans, black beans, and mixed beans. Pre-cooked beans ready to heat and eat, these solve the problem of dried beans requiring soaking and long cooking times. You open the tin, rinse the contents, heat them if you want, or eat them cold, and you're done. For quick meals, tinned beans are invaluable. Rice plus tinned beans equals a filling meal in minutes. Pasta plus tinned beans equals protein and carbs together. Soup plus tinned beans adds substance and fiber. The fiber content in beans matters during survival situations. When you're eating lots of dry foods and processed foods, your digestive system can struggle. Beans provide fiber that keeps things moving. Number 46. Tinned tomatoes. We covered the importance earlier. The base that makes everything else work turns rice, pasta, beans into actual meals. Rotate constantly because you'll use them in normal cooking anyway. Number 47. Tinned sweet potatoes. This is the calorie-dense vegetable that most people overlook. 120 calories per serving compared to 20 calories for spinach or 70 for green beans. Only vegetable that rivals regular potatoes for energy density, but with better nutrition. Sweet potatoes provide vitamin A, potassium, fiber, and substantial energy. Number 48. Tinned sweet corn, peas, carrots, and potatoes. These provide vitamins, fiber, and color on the plate. Are they as nice as fresh? No. Will you care during a February blackout? Also no, tinned veg prevents meals from becoming what one viewer called beige apocalypse mush. When everything you're eating is brown or white, adding something yellow or green makes meals feel more normal. Storage is 2 to 5 years. Rotate them into normal cooking. Number 49. Tomato puree. Concentrated flavor in a small tube. 1 tablespoon of tomato puree adds depth to rice, pasta, soups, stews, basically anything savory. Puree is concentrated, which means it provides intense tomato flavor without adding liquid. That matters when you're trying to build flavor without making meals watery. Number 50. Vinegar. White vinegar is self-preserving. The acetic acid creates an environment where bacteria and mold can't survive. It preserves other foods when making pickles. It cleans surfaces and eliminates bacteria. A gallon costs about £3 and replaces cleaning products while also being a food preservative. Number 51. Cocoa powder. This provides chocolate flavor for morale without requiring refrigeration. Mix cocoa with powdered milk and sugar and you've got hot chocolate. Add cocoa to porridge for chocolate oatmeal. Use it in baking if you've got flour and other ingredients. The psychological value of chocolate flavor during difficult times shouldn't be underestimated. Sweet, familiar tastes provide comfort when everything else feels wrong. Storage requires keeping cocoa completely dry and sealed. Number 52. Weetabix. Fortified breakfast cereal that solves the vitamin and mineral problem. Iron prevents anemia when meat is scarce. B vitamins support energy metabolism and nerve function. Calcium maintains bone health when dairy is limited. Fiber aids digestive health during stressful situations. Official shelf life is 12 months. In airtight containers, easily 3 to 5 years. Number 53. Golden syrup. Classic British sweetener that doesn't spoil as long as moisture stays out. Can crystallize but remains usable. Good for baking, porridge, boosting calories. A tin of Tate & Lyle golden syrup costs £2 to £3 and lasts years. Number 54. Tinned salmon. Similar to tinned tuna, but often considered premium. Provides protein, omega-3s, vitamin D, calcium from edible bones. Wild-caught is nutritionally superior to farmed. Storage is 2 to 5 years. The omega-3 content supports brain function and reduces inflammation. Number 55. Tinned ham. Less common than chicken, but still available in most supermarkets. Provides protein and fat in ready-to-eat format. Works in sandwiches, mixed with rice, added to soups, or eaten as is. Storage is 2 to 5 years. Having variety in tinned meats means meals don't become repetitive. Number 56. Olive oil. When it comes to storing fats long-term, olive oil stands above the rest. Most vegetable oils are heavily processed and oxidize quickly, going rancid within months. Olive oil, particularly extra virgin, contains natural antioxidants that protect it from degradation. A sealed bottle can last 2 years easily in cool, dark storage. It provides dense calories, roughly 120 per tablespoon, and works both hot and cold, cooking rice, frying flatbreads, or drizzling over foods. The monounsaturated fats are also heart-healthy, which means you're maintaining health while surviving. Choose extra virgin when possible. It's less processed and lasts longer. Keep bottles sealed in a cool, dark cupboard, and once opened, use within 6 months for best quality. So there you have it. Over 50 survival foods available right now in any UK supermarket. Most for less than a takeaway, all capable of lasting years, some lasting decades. This isn't about bunkers. It's not about fear. It's about having more peace in a world where people are making supply chains wobble, prices spike, and a crisis could be brewing round the corner. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and especially smash the hype button. You're not just helping the video, you're spreading information that genuinely helps people prepare before panic buying starts. Leave a comment telling me what food we should cover next. And until next time, stay informed, stay sharp, and protect your plate.